And we came up with a method or system by understanding actually what was happening. Once you understand what happens, then the next step, of course, is to work a system that can counter.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is MIOR Azrin bin HUSIN. My matrix number 2024-963-815. So we're going to talk about the background of Tun Dr. Mahathir. Tun Dr. Mahathir is born at Alustar, Kedah, and he is a legendary figure in Malaysian politics that having served as Prime Minister for several terms and become famous for his groundbreaking ideas and forward-thinking leadership. So during his administration, he was also in charge for establishing several large and mega projects such as the Petronas Twin Towers, which have become an icon of Malaysia, the opening of the international airport that has been known as a KAMILIA, that which this achievement leads him the title Father of Malaysian Modernization.
Assalamualaikum. So my name is Mohamad bin Rashid. My number matrix is 2024-767-239. So now let's move to the Mahathirism and economic vision. Mahathirism have been developed during his tenure, had a profound impact on Malaysia's political landscape. Mahathirism embodies Mahathir political philosophy, blending nationalism, capitalism, Islam and populism, and also the authoritarianism that reflect in his speeches, writing, policy and action. Mahathirism significantly contributes to economic justice in Malaysia that emphasized equality as a key to economic growth. During the 1997 Asian financial crisis, Mahathir diverged from neighbor nation by rejecting IMF aid and authority measure.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is KAMILIA binti ZULKARNAIN. My message number is 2024-988-533, and I am going to present about the next part, which is the Malaysia economic landscape before 1981. So in 1957, Malaysia's economic mostly based on tin and rubber with minimal focus on manufacturing. It first concentrate on agriculture export to maintain the revenue stability. During the first Malaysia plan, Malaysia prioritized the industrialization via policies that encourage import substitution and export-oriented enterprise. This shift in the 1960s to improve the manufacturing sector, reduce reliance on basic goods and boost job in the country. So by 1970, Malaysia relied heavily on foreign direct investment to support the export-oriented manufacturing. However, the country faced a significant economic imbalance in income distribution following the 1969 race riots. The new economic policy aimed to reduce poverty, especially between the Bumiputras and non-Bumiputras.
Assalamualaikum, my name is JUHANA binti JALANI. My metric number is 2024-974709. The new economic policy or NEP introduced in 1971 aimed to reduce poverty and restructure society. It sought to increase Bumiputra participation in business, education and profession through affirmative action policies like education quota and business ownership incentives. While the new economic policy achieved some success in narrowing economic disparities between ethnic groups, it was criticized for creating dependency among Bumiputra and failing to address income gaps within their own community. These shortcomings raised concern about the policy effectiveness in fostering self-reliance and sustainable economic growth. In 1991, Tun Dr. Mahathir introduced the National Development Policy as a part of Vision 2020 to address this issue. While retaining the new economic policy core objective, the National Development Policy emphasized capacity building and private sector participation. This shift aimed to empower Bumiputras to compete independently in a global economy while reducing reliance on government support.
Hi, my name is SUHAILAH binti Muhammad ASRI. My matrix number is 2024-747-925. I will continue to the next part, which is goals and core principles of the National Development Policy. One of the major goals of the NDP was the reduction of poverty, particularly in underprivileged and rural communities, and making sure that every area of the society fairly shares in wealth. Due to the historical relationship between disparities in wealth and resource access, the government concentrated on resolving economic disparities among various ethnic groups, especially those of the Chinese, Indian and Malay population. Next, the NDP emphasized improving the living standard of all Malaysians, with a special focus on the well-being of disadvantaged groups. This is to ensure that social and political stability requires balanced community growth. Lastly, to increase economic growth, the government initiative to stimulate economic expansion by advancing the industrial sector, particularly the country's automobile industry. As the country's first domestic automaker, Proton was crucial in promoting Malaysia's economic transition from one centered on agriculture to one centered on industry.
So, one of the key economic strategies and policy is most national development policies aim to generate long-term economic growth. So, this includes building a strong and robust economy capable of creating employment, raising incomes, and decreasing inequalities over time. To attain this goal, the NDP prioritized several critical sectors including industrial development, technical innovation, trade growth, and infrastructural development. So, the strategy often encouraged a combination of economic diversification and innovation-driven development. Next, the National Development Policy aims to reduce poverty and promote social justice. So this objective focuses on establishing equitable opportunities for all citizens, especially for disadvantaged groups, including rural populations, women, and minorities. So the NDP generally encompasses social welfare initiatives, including unemployment benefit, healthcare subsidies, and educational assistance designed to alleviate poverty.
In the industrialization and economic diversification, key to Malaysian National Development Policy (NDP) that evolves expanding beyond the agriculture to develop industry, technology, and services. Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad led the push for industrialization under NDP that focuses on heavy industry, electronic, and major infrastructure projects by reducing dependency on import and creating high-value jobs. The first one is Proton Project. Proton Holdings founded in 1983 under Mahathir leadership with Mitsubishi Motors that aim to produce the Malaysia's first locally built vehicle. Proton aimed to boost the local automotive supply chain, enhance the technology, and develop skilled workers, reducing Malaysia's reliance on foreign vehicles. The second one, Malaysia Incorporated Policy. The policy encouraged the private enterprise to drive industrial growth and national building in Malaysia. The policy aimed to accelerate the Malaysia industrial growth by involving the private enterprise in national building. The third one is Heavy Industry Corporation of Malaysia in 1918. Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad established HICOM, marking a key moment in Malaysian industrialization and economic diversification. That HICOM initiated key projects like Perwajah Steel to meet Malaysia's steel needs and support infrastructure.
Moreover, the privatization strategy in the 1980, the Malaysia faced rising in public sector debt. So privatization was introduced to reduce the government's financial burden. As example, in 1993, the privatization of the sewerage system to Indah Water, which managed to upgrade the facility through the 3.5 billion ringgit investment. So next, major projects like North-South Expressway connected North Thailand to South Singapore. It was completed with the funding of private sector.
Human capital development was a cornerstone of the National Development Policy. Recognizing the importance of education for economic progress, the government introduced several reforms to improve accessibility and quality at all levels. Public universities such as University Technology Mara (UiTM) expanded significantly to increase higher education opportunity for Bumiputras. UiTM offered programs in key fields like business, engineering, and technology, empowering Bumiputra to contribute to critical sectors of the economy. Additionally, the NDP emphasized technical and vocational education and training, or TVET, to address skill gaps in industry like manufacturing, construction, and IT. This focus on practical skills ensures students were prepared for job market demand. Workforce training programs supported by agencies like the Human Resource Development Fund (HRDF) facilitate upskilling in engineering, IT, and other key sectors. This effort helps reduce unemployment and align Malaysian workforce with industrial needs, enhancing global competitiveness.
Next, I will continue with technology advancements and the Multimedia Super Corridor (MSC). The Multimedia Super Corridor (MSC), launched in 1996 by Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, was a transformative initiative aimed at propelling Malaysia into the digital age. The development of MSC Malaysia is planned under three phases. The first phase is 1996 to 2003, created a world-class ICT infrastructure to attract international and local companies. Of the second stage of development in 2004 to 2010 is connect all 5 cyber city to other areas of Malaysian cities and ultimately to other cyber city throughout the globe. It will create a network of corridors and collection of top-tier multimedia and ICT business. In the third phase, in 2011 to 2020, intends to enlarge MSC Malaysia's agenda nationally and link a cluster of intelligent city to the global information network to increase Malaysia ICT connection worldwide. E-government introduced under the Multimedia Super Corridor (MSC) initiative aim to modernize public administration and improve service delivery through digital technologies.
So we're going to move to the impact of the National Development Policy, which is economic growth and development indicators. So the first impact is the unemployment rate serve as a significant indicators of the NDP's effectiveness in job creation and poverty reduction. So a decrease in unemployment, especially among youth and marginalized groups, indicates the effectiveness of policies designed to foster a more equitable labor market, income inequality indicators, including the Gini coefficient, are essential for evaluating the equitable distribution of economic growth benefits.
Next, we focus on socio-economic progress and poverty reduction. By eliminating socio-economic inequality, the policy was enacted to provide economic opportunities for lower-income rural population, which had historically lagged in growth. By poverty reduction policies, the effort focused on improving the access to educating and skill training to develop a skilled workforce and help the low-income families advance economically.
Next is the regional and global competitiveness. NDP promote the export-oriented industrialization, enable the Malaysia to diversify beyond palm oil and rubber. So the remarkable expansion of the transport and communication subsector was made possible by the completion of numerous infrastructure projects, including the highways like Trail Transit, Commuter Train Service, KLIA, Port Klang and Port Tanjung Pelepas.
The National Development Policy contributed significantly to Malaysian economic growth. One of its key achievements was economic diversification. By reducing reliance on sectors like agriculture, the National Development Policy shifted focus to manufacturing and export industry, reducing exposure to commodity price volatility. This effort helped strengthen the Malaysian middle class and enhance economic resilience. By building a more inclusive economy, National Development Policy positioned Malaysia as a stable and competitive player in the global market.
Next, I will continue to the next part, which is modernisation and technology advancement. The modernisation brought by Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad during his reign, the first was the construction of the Kuala Lumpur City Centre KLCC. The Kuala Lumpur City Centre KLCC is an iconic symbol of Malaysian modernism and advancement and a towering example of the country's architectural skill and aspiration. On the other hand, technological advancement was symbolised by the establishment of Proton, Malaysia's first national car company. The look its policy resulted in the establishment of Proton, Malaysia's first national automobile, because of the good relationship between Malaysia and Japan.
Now let's move on. The disadvantage of the NDP is income inequality and social inequality. In economic disparity, rural communities and agriculture workers often face disadvantages due to limited access to the economic opportunities and development program. In social inequality, some regions gain resources, disparities in education, healthcare, living conditions grew, with urban areas advancing the infrastructure, while rural areas lack in access to essential services.
Now, let's move to the environmental impact. The first impact is environmental damage is one of the main problems with the National Development Policy, NDP. This can happen when economic growth is more important than environmental concerns. Rapid growth and infrastructure development are important parts of many NDPs, but they often cause trees to be cut down, wildfire to be lost, and pollution to rise. Building roads, towns, workplaces, and other kinds of natural areas which could damage ecosystem in a way that cannot be fixed.
Despite its achievement, the National Development Policy faced significant criticism. Persistent income gaps remain prevalent, not only between ethnic groups but also within the Bumiputra community. Affirmative action policy prioritized Bumiputra in education and employment, leading to dissatisfaction among non-Bumiputras. This exclusion fostered discontent and highlighted the difficulties of balancing equity and inclusivity. These challenges underscore the policy limitation in achieving equitability and inclusive development.
Next, I will continue to the next part, which is political and institutional challenge. One of the most significant political challenge faced by Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad was the 1998 dispute with his then deputy Anwar Ibrahim during the Asian financial crisis. Anwar, who was seen as more aligned with Western financial institutions, advocated for the International Monetary Fund's IMF recommendation, which include austerity measures, currency devaluation and structural reforms. However, Mahathir strongly opposed this measure, believing they will worsen the situation. He believed in protecting Malaysia's sovereignty and economy without relying on foreign intervention.
I'm going to continue with the next part, which is the sustainability and ethical concerns. So Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad looked his policy encouraged Malaysians to adopt the discipline and diligence of the Japanese and the Korean workers' work ethic. He believed in learning from their infrastructure development, such as the work ethic, to advance the Malaysia to be a good country. In the Malay Dilemma, which is the book of Mahathir, he stressed the need for equal rights among races and introduced the policies like national economic policies and national development policies.
So we move to the conclusion. As a conclusion, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad's leadership was instrumental in establishing and executing Malaysia's National Development Policy, NDP, which attempt to modernize the country's economy and improve the well-being of its people. Despite these hurdles, Tun Dr. Mahathir's leadership was critical in laying a solid basis for Malaysia's future economic and social development. And that's all for us. Thank you.